Hey everybody, welcome to our weekly open mic call. We do this for you folks. The MSPs asked that we talk about what's new in the platform, what bugs we fixed, as well as the ability to learn from their peers in the MSP industry and do a little R&D or robbing and duplicating. Some reminders, if you're interacting with us in Discord, you're already a winner. Our best automating MSPs use Discord. They use their private channels to ask us questions and to get help. They use the public channels to, like the COOP, to ask their peers questions and get help from them. I don't know of any successful MSPs that are automating that haven't asked any questions. Also, if you're interacting with our team in Discord, make sure to either respond in a thread or tag them, because we are monitoring many, many hundreds of Discord channels all at the same time. If you're building workflows, make sure you add time savings. Oh, I did have like one other Discord thing that I never mentioned before. Maybe I'll add this to the list. Folks may not be aware, but Discord has a 500 channel limit, and we have a one channel per customer thing going on. That's how we provide our support. We have over 500 customers, and so because of that, we have multiple Discord servers. We don't have multiple Discord servers because we like it or because we want multiple Discord servers. It's the only way it will work. If you find yourself on one of the other Discord servers, the COOP is centralized, which is our public channel, is centralized on our main Discord server. Please make sure you have an account there and that you're checking out the COOP. And then finally, I'm going to give you folks a little peek into what it's like to work at Rewst. When I do a morning stand-up with the team, and it's a great way. If you folks don't do this, if you're not a remote company, you don't probably need a morning stand-up. You can walk out of your office, grab a coffee, huddle with the team, and get to know each other and communicate. But we're primarily a remote company. And so the only way we can build culture and not lose communication every day is have a daily stand-up. And so for about 10 to 15 minutes each day, there's about 100 of us at Rewst now. 60 or 70 of us join a call and we give updates for 10 to 15 minutes. If you're like me, you would be excited to also have a platform to spout your opinions in front of 70 people who are forced to listen to you. So let's talk about one of my opinions. As a species, we've lived thousands of years with nothing called soft water. Suddenly, 30 years ago or so, the marketing people came out and told us that we can't live without soft water. I'm here to tell you that if you just have normal hard water, you're a winner. When you shower, the soap will rinse off you, unlike soft water. Also, I'm here to remind you that the mineral content of hard water is minerals that your body needs. Why strip those minerals out? And can I get a here on hard water from everyone? Can everyone second hard water with me?
I can't. Oh, how did you do that, Amanda?
You're here.
I just put my 2 thumbs up and all of a sudden fireworks started.
We have a couple folks with their hands up. Is that a celebratory hand up? Or,
you must be on a Mac, Amanda.
I am.
Yep. When you do the thumbs up or that down, you can do 1 thumb up, 2 thumbs up, thumbs down. It'll do different things. Yep. See? Now, if you go like this, it'll do, sorry. It does
You
a lot
weren't
of
on
different
the
things.
agenda, BJ.
Sorry, I apologize.
And then for those of you that are surprised that came on an automation call to hear the CEO talk about water softness, we will now talk about automations. One word of warning, this is a very technical call. This is a safe place for engineers and automation people. If you're a decision maker or an owner, you may not understand everything that's being said, and that's fine. We are working on a call for you, but this is for the automation people. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Ash.
Thank you. All right, so we are going to, I believe, actually, Daniel, you can let me know. We're going to jump right to you, right? Marketplace update today?
That's right. Right to
Word.
me. I also wanted to let everyone know another little inside scoop is we celebrate drama-free Fridays every Friday. And so no drama on this call, please. Thank you. Hey, I'm working in my
Haven't
team.
ruined that already, mate.
Yes, he did. Yes. Working my in browser for Teams because Mac and Teams don't like each other right now. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. But yeah, we have a few updates today for the Crate Marketplace side of things. We also have a whole bunch of things that are on the go that I've explained in the last couple of weeks, but I'll go through the updates. So the user onboarding workflow, we have updated the new AD, the create new AD user PowerShell script to post back an exception message if it's unable to set the password settings. We've updated another crate, the integration org variables crate, to pick up Adigy IDs as well, to check, so we can check for Adigy integration org variables they're set. We've also updated the offboarding V2 workflow to support PSA and RMM parent-child relationships. This was a specific request from, I believe, a ConnectWise customer. So yeah. As for bug fixes, we always have a ton of stuff going on with bug fixes in any given week. We have made a bunch of fixes to the user offboarding crate just to handle some errors that we've seen over the last week or two. The send email attachment function workflow, we've switched that to use the correct response header for the webhook and made a couple other changes. The billing count report, this is a newer crate that we've released. We have fixed the CSV generation for that, so the company field is always that first column to make it easier to action that CSV report. And we added a required field into the configure CWM agreement for DuoSync workflow to prevent failures. I mentioned this over the last couple of weeks, I think, but there's some crates that we have that are on the go: workstation offboarding, a SonicWall firmware update crate, and error handling and reporting. And we are also taking the majority of our time is spent right now on looking at our top 10 crates that we or our top 10 automations that we can help our MSPs with, and making sure that those are in tip-top shape. So we have a list of, I think actually 18 that we're working on, or 18, yeah. But it's all to do with our top crates that are highest executed and most used. So yeah, that's all that we have going on for this week. So back to you.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to jump over to our education update with Brandon.
Hey everyone, can everyone hear me? I'm also doing this in browser because Teams and Macs don't like each other, so let's see if we can get this to work, huh? Let's see. Yes, I would like to allow share window. I'm already terrified that this is not going to work. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Sure can.
All right, okay. First of all, since Aaron gets to have opinions, Brandon gets to have opinions too. Hard water is a good thing, but it's also the murderer of my coffee machine, so I have mixed feelings about hard water. But secondly, the game tips of the week. That's where we're going next. So first of all, here's my hot take. If you saw that PS5 Pro announcement and you're tempted to get that limited edition, It's probably going to be like $1,000 or more. I would say don't, because you can get either a Switch or a Steam Deck with a ton of games for that much money, or you can buy 2 whole retro RPGs for $1,000. So spend your money the right way, all right? Second, if you do have Steam, there's a Sega sale right now. So if you're interested in things like the Yakuza games or the Shenmue series, you can get that stuff for like $5 or $6. All right, so don't give $1,000 to Sony. They don't need that nonsense. Normal PS5 is just fine. And also, this wasn't in my list, but Emmett just sent this over. You can build your own Game Boy, which is amazing. So I'm taking donations, number 1, and number 2, you guys should check this out too. All right, that's my game tip for the week. Shout outs to Victoria, Alan, Michael H, Michael R, Aaron, Lyndon, Austin, Ethan, and Adam, and Ray and Tim with perfect scores. Congrats on taking and passing the Rewst Foundation certification exam. You should get your prestigious certified Rooster badge in Discord, as well as access to our not so secret Discord channel, where you can hang out with all the other homies that have the certified Rooster badge, and you can ask questions, and you guys can work together and do some amazing things. Change the world with your automation. Otherwise, check us out in the CLUCK Discord channel. If you have any questions about anything as you're going through your learning journey, we are happy to jump in and help. You will often see Eddie lurking in there, ready and willing to help at any point. So go check that out if you're not already doing that. And of course, you can also sign up for office hours to work through any questions that you have during or after training. So check that out. Otherwise, we just have a few updates today. Keep an eye out for our clean automation certification. We've been teasing this for a while. That is coming soon. And stay tuned for some exciting new self-paced content and some special live sessions that we are looking to release in the coming days, as well as our CLUCK University landing page. We're going to make some updates, and you'll see those updates reflected there. Otherwise, just our normal reminder that we have feedback forms that can be filled out. If you guys want to give us any feedback, otherwise you can just ping us in Discord directly, and we'd be happy to take a look. We love hearing feedback from you guys. And we have otherwise done some updates to our issue alerts, and we've added our open mic from last week. So if anybody was wondering about that, that is available. So we have a lot more to come. Also, happy birthday, Adam. And that's it for me. Back to you, Ash.
Thank you, Brandon. All right, so we're going to jump into our demos. We have a handful of them, but we have enough time, so we might be able to get through them all. So there's not any rushing or anything like that. But just let's see, who do we have to start? RJ, you're up first.
Awesome. Hey, folks. Long-time listener, first-time demoer. So my demo here is going to be, I feel, less on the technical side of things and more on the design side of things. So what I want to showcase is kind of the way I prepare workflows to be submitted to the Roc for support tickets and helping me fix things that are broken. So what I've got here on my screen share is a pretty recent workflow that I set up for the Roc for some line guard integration issues I was running into. And kind of one of the reasons that I like setting up dedicated Rewst support workflows, it really helps to isolate kind of the issue points in a larger workflow that I was working on where I ran into these issues. It also provides a nice, safe environment to quickly and repeatedly do kind of testing, either myself or I can just, let the Roc have free reign to do whatever they want with this workflow without impacting or, possibly impacting anything else. So going a little bit into the design here, what I do is I try to group issues, if there are multiple issues, into these sections with notes, kind of further explaining exactly what the issue is that's being highlighted within the various tasks here. In this case, it's a very strange one where Rewst is automatically overriding some of my changes to some of the inputs with drop-down menus. So difficult to explain in text. We actually got a call to discuss this one. So these are also very helpful for just jumping on a call and running through a dedicated workflow on that call. See here. They also kind of all dance around the same issue, so I've grouped them up together kind of in this group here. The next ones are separate enough issues that they all have the same group, but I did end up putting all this stuff together onto one ticket. Another thing that I try to do with these kind of support case workflows is if I run into an issue with kind of a built-in action, I try to replicate what I expect that built-in action to do via one of the more generic, like in this case, it's the line good API request action. But I believe every integration should have their own kind of generic build your own action. So I try to have pairings of those with, this is the issue that I'm running into with the native action, and hopefully this is the desired outcome that I want with something that's more custom built. Let's see. I also try whenever possible to include quick references to the vendor documentation, especially when building out the custom API stuff. Pretty much always point back to the vendor docs for what we need to do for those endpoints. This is both for my future self and for anybody that I'm working with in the Roc. I'm going to touch a little bit on the structure as well of this. So we've got kind of all these things branching off of this beginning no-op. This is how I structure a lot of workflows in general, but having this on success and on fail trigger here, it lets me quickly toggle things on and off that I want to test. No-ops never fail. So if you attach a thing to a no-op failure point, it'll never run. So you can quickly, if I just want to look through this section, for instance, I can quickly just set these to run off failure, and then they just won't run, but they'll still be here and documented in the workflow. And then for the last little bit of this demo, I want to show kind of an alternate structure. So this is the same exact thing as the last one, but I set up what I call testing paths. So using a input variable here, we just have a little context variable called path, which is one of these numbers here. So using the no-op custom transition conditions, I can just set the path that I want to test for this specific run in the workflow settings. And then if I have it set to path 1, it'll run through this kind of grouping of issues, path 2, path 3, etc. So just another way to break out and kind of structure testing and quick iterations for the Roc.
It's so cool. I love that. Got a lot of reactions in the chat. Oh, thank you so much.
Not a lot of people have ever showed how to help with support interaction, and I think it's awesome because you can't imagine how many MSPs the team is talking to every day, and if you can streamline yourself to help with support, it's likely you'll get better support.
That's amazing. And first time, thank you so much, RJ. We'll be back though. He has several more things to show us. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we're going to jump over to Brian. Brian, it is your turn.
Yeah, great, thanks. So what I want to show off is something that's kind of solved a frustration that I know I've had with the platform and a few others have had, in that when you have multiple instances of the same workflow being triggered all at the same time, you can end up with a lot of collisions in terms of what is running and trying to do something at the same time. So the one that I run into a lot personally is the new hire onboarding workflow. We have, by nature of the business that they do, we have some clients that are very high turnover. They're hiring people, they're firing people, and people are quitting to the tune of like 20 to 30 a week submissions. So they do them all in big batches. And as you can imagine, when it gets to the purchasing licensing from PAX 8 piece of the workflow, they start to conflict with each other, and they all try to set the numbers to the same thing or different things, or go backwards, and you get weird failures. And even with all of the absolute phenomenal failure handling that the Roc is built into the workflow, you still end up with it just eventually timing out and somebody has to go back in and clean it up later. So I want to show off a proof of concept workflow that I have here that basically puts workflows in line by using org variables. So in this, got a couple of delays built in just for like demo purposing, but you just set up an organization variable. And what I do in this fairly simple, straightforward is based on the organization that's running. If the org variable doesn't exist, it's going to just set it to a list of the execution ID of the workflow. If the org variable already does exist, then it's just appending the current execution ID to the list. I'm saving it in YAML, in a YAML format into the org variable just for some space saving purposes and transitioning and backing out. What I do then is I check to ensure that this current execution is the first result in that list of execution IDs. If it is, it continues, does whatever the workflow is supposed to do, and then at the very end, it removes the current workflow execution ID from the list and updates the variable. If that does exist, it waits a little while and checks again. So to kind of do a proof of concept here to show you how this is going to work, I will open these side by side. Oh, does that weird thing where the taskbar disappears. Hang on. Never mind, I won't do it side by side. I'll do it in a new tab. But if I just fire off a handful of executions in sequential order, like my client likes to do when they hire and fire people, you'll see I've got 5 workflows running. This will update in somewhat real time, showing where they're at and what they've all completed, and you'll see them kind of tick off one by one by one that they're the next one in a row. A little bit of delay on this. Hope it didn't. Yeah, there it goes. So that one's already finished. So you've seen these have finished. This one will be the next in line. It'll wait here a few seconds and it'll show completed with like 7 tasks or 8 tasks. There's a delay on it showing some of these things. Yeah. But that's kind of the basics of it. It's just waiting to check again and removes itself. And this is one of those things that once I kind of figured out how to logic through adding and removing the execution workflows, I haven't had a ton of instances yet because I really just got this into production a couple of days ago, and we haven't hit their next massive round of submissions or catch-ups and things like that. But I've already seen when a couple of different locations for this client have submitted within close proximity to each other, how it's helped save me having to go in and clean up a failure on it. But yeah, just a really easy way to leverage. Oh, that's probably a me failure, not a whatever failure. I'll have to figure out why that failed. So unless they're gonna develop it, but you know, they won't.
That's perfect. Any comments, reactions, questions for Brian? That was pretty good, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
A lot of applause.
That's really cool. Do you just put that as a sub workflow in any workflows that you want to serialize like that?
Unfortunately, no. So what I would probably do is I'll probably break the beginning and the ending pieces of it and sub workflow those so that I can reuse the 2 different pieces of the updating of the org variable. But for now, it's just built to where it's sandwiched at either end of the gigantic, massive workflow that I couldn't show because I can't show the client name. But I haven't really figured out exactly how I'm going to containerize it to reuse for other purposes, but probably something where it'll be an initial update sub workflow and then a final update sub workflow to be called again when I have to reuse it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's really neat.
Thank you so much. So before we move on, Dan asked, do you have any issues with timeouts or race conditions or?
No,
John
nothing that I've really seen so far because it does this. So the biggest piece of when I put in the delay action, if I could go ahead and reshare my screen here. So when I put in the delay action for it to wait, I tend to set, like this one, I just threw 10 seconds on here just for a testing purposes, but on the actual workflow, since it's specific to licensing, I believe there's a 2-minute delay built into that particular piece of the PAX 8 component that I call in my workflow. And so what I've done is I've set this delay to match that 2 minutes. Probably need to go to more like a 2.5 minute to let it do some of the other actions, but that way it's more or less only waiting as long as it needs to for whatever immediately previous execution is completed. Now it might have to cycle through a few times. Like I said, they submit, quite a number. Usually the HR manager for the one location sits down and submits like 5 or 6 at a time or more. And so it may have to loop and wait through, but there's no real timeout issues or wait conditions as long as I'm setting the delay at that stage properly. Yeah. And then another thing I do fairly often, instead of just I just did a standard delay on this. I will do a random delay here of like 3 to 5 seconds at the beginning of a lot of my workflows that I know are going to be submitted frequently, or maybe like 5 to 10 seconds, something like that. That'll space it out to where it does it fairly easily, where you just set a range and then have it do random from that range.
Thank you. All right, let's jump over to Moment of Truth. Logan, how's your new headset?
I should be good. I'm actually at home today, so.
We hear you, so.
Perfect. So real quick, let me check. Perfect, Kelvin's not here. I won't get in trouble. All right.
He's in Barcelona, so you're safe.
Oh man, all right, fair enough. All right, let me get my demo environment. Okay, so this is basically a demo going over how you can do some basic desired state configuration on your Microsoft tenants. So this one here is sort of demonstrating how you can place this in a wrapper to start with. So similar to the first demo, you have a starting point that launches a bunch of other workflows. I only have one in here right now, but I wanted to just add some dummy no-ops just to prove the point. For the registration campaign, though, if we come over here, this is basically I hate to say it, but a copy of the PowerShell of the SIP standard for the registration campaign with a little bit of extra magic worked in. So first, we are running a sub workflow that gets the GUID of a group name. So the use of this is when you have a security group in a Microsoft tenant, The GUIDs are not going to be the same if the names are the same, if you're looking from one customer to another. So if you're going to run this across multiple tenants, you're going to need a decent way to resolve that if you're deploying this group out, for example. Real quick, just to show what this is doing. Just does a quick list graph with the group name and pulls out the ID here. Gives you the returned groups. I don't have any intelligent handling for multiple values in here in case something gets duplicated. That's definitely something I need to work on down the line, but basically just setting the group ID as an output here. If we go back, oh, wrong one. All right, so this is getting two different group IDs. So one to include in the registration campaign, and one to exclude from the registration campaign, saving those values for later. And then it comes down here. It tries to evaluate what the current registration campaign is, because you don't necessarily want to just be beating Microsoft up with post requests if you don't need to. So down here, it's doing this is a bit of a lengthy one, but a comparison of the JSON that actually comes out, and checking for, okay, does it include the group? Does it exclude this group? Is it actually enabled? Does it have the right number of snooze days? And basically just spits out compliant or not. And with that result, it will either hit this no operate here to represent that it is compliant and wrap up, or hit this essentially enforcement step where it will set that campaign the way you have it and end. All of that pretty much comes back here and will either fail or end on the overall wrapper. If we want to see a quick test of this. And I can open this too. And this one actually has been in production for a couple weeks now. I wanted to demo it a little while ago when it was still buggy, but yeah, here we go. You can see that this tenant actually already has a completely compliant registration campaign. Any questions for me?
That's awesome. Is there any questions for Logan?
I don't have a question, but Logan, this is one of our really, really early use cases for Rewst, way back in the day. And it's so cool seeing someone checking configuration. And you're going to get me on one of my rants, but I can't tell you folks, it does not matter what EDR you use. It doesn't matter what SIM you use. It doesn't matter who your training provider is. It's all about configuration. If your passwords are easily guessable, doesn't matter. If your RDP is open to the internet, it doesn't matter. Like, this is so important. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And this basic logic of checking something, seeing if it's compliant, and then enforcing it if it's not, that is one of the most fundamentally effective and simple ways to go about enforcing that stuff too.
Awesome.
I see like these, you'll see these passionate EDR wars in Reddit. And I bet all the people yelling back and forth about their EDR is the best aren't checking configurations every single day. Logan, how often is that running?
I actually have it set up to mimic the SIP standards, and it's running every 4 hours.
Wow. That's great.
Awesome. Thank you, Logan. We'll make sure we send the link of that to Kelvin so that he can have civil discourse with you about how it works after. Next up, we have Sam. Sam, it's your time.
Hello. So I actually have a few different things to kind of demo off inside the app platform that I've been working on. I actually meant to show this off in our app platform bi-weekly meeting that we're having, but we didn't have enough time, so I will share it off to everybody now. So let me share my screen. See if Teams will like me. And it does. Okay. So essentially, there's three different things I wanted to show off here. One was the redirection to a mobile website. So essentially what we wanted to do, obviously, was build out a customer portal. So obviously a customer portal on a mobile phone is going to look a little bit different than a customer portal on a desktop. And you obviously can't just use the desktop version on a mobile phone. It doesn't look that good. And also there's a lot of unnecessary features that you may not even need on a mobile app or a mobile website. So what I did was kind of build out a homepage and a mobile site at the same time, kind of built them out separately with similar types of features, but the mobile version is a little bit more stripped down and a little bit more optimized for mobile devices. So what I did here was basically just create some JavaScript that is loaded on the homepage. So what happens is that it will actually check to see if it's a mobile device. If it is a mobile device, it will just redirect you over into our mobile website. And if it's a desktop computer, it'll just stay on the desktop. So what that kind of looks like in action is if I go over here and go over here to our homepage, you will actually see it inside of the console logs. So let me debug here and I will refresh the site. You will see it will go to the homepage briefly and then it will redirect into the mobile website version, which is a little bit more stripped down. And obviously, things like having a whole bunch of menu items up top isn't going to work that well on mobile devices. So we just use the hamburger menu instead. So that was kind of the first thing I wanted to demo off there. But then I kind of found this capability and was like, okay, how could I use this for other things as well? So the next demo is actually checking to see inside of our customers' environments if they have Duo or not. So what it will actually do is we have a link inside of our column here for Duo MFA. So if we go under users here and I scroll down, you can see it. There's a Duo MFA option here, and that is just sending you over into our redirection. And what that is doing is basically checking to see if the org variable Duo account ID is defined. If it is defined, then there's a good likelihood that they have Duo set up through us. If they don't, then we're just going to send them to an unauthorized page. And I will demo off how that works once I go through this third one here inside of our dev tenant. And the third one here is actually kind of similar to the same idea for the Duo one, but actually for your primary identity provider, which is actually an org variable that is used for the onboarding and offboarding workflows. So what I did there was basically check to see, are they on-prem client or are they in Microsoft 365 tenant? And basically, depending on that, it will redirect them to a different site because we obviously only have one data table on the site, maybe to list out all the different AD users, and it's going to be a totally different workflow and totally different columns that we will get from Microsoft 365. So I will kind of demo off what that looks like here. So let me go back. Let me switch over here to my dev tenant here and show you what that looks like. So let me log in. Okay, so this is our dev tenant. So if we go under our users here and go to user lists, you can see it's redirecting. And in our case, we have the Entra users because I set up that org variable for a dev tenant. So if you just watch the URL bar up here, you'll actually see it'll go to user redirect and then it'll go to the list Entra users. From there, a similar thing is going to be set up for Duo. So obviously, if we did have Duo set up inside of our dev tenant, you go under here, Duo MFA, I will click on that. And, oh, I think because I'm not going to the proxy page. That's the Duo redirect. I have to update the sidebar, but what you will see is that it will give you the unauthorized page here, and it's redirecting you because there is no Duo mapping inside of Rewst. So rather than showing an empty table, that isn't really that useful, right? From a customer experience perspective, if a customer clicks on Duo and they aren't even subscribed to Duo, they should get an unauthorized page. They shouldn't have a blank table. So that is just something that we're doing as well. So all three of those things are kind of ways that we're using JavaScript and not traditional ways inside the app platform to actually redirect based on certain conditions. And all of these is just running JavaScript. So it's actually not even running a workflow, which is good because it keeps it pretty responsive. It's not like it's slowing down the experience. Like for example, if I went back to this Duo page, Duo redirect, you can see just how quick it is redirecting back. So way quicker than running, like going through a workflow and then maybe waiting for an output or something else like that. That's where I find that org variables are very useful for checking, and you can do that with your JavaScript.
Oh, thank you so much, Sam. So org variable use case day unintentionally. Anybody have any questions?
Sam, is all of this internal, going to be internal, or are you making any customer focused things?
This is all like customer facing eventually. So this is the customer portal is going to be customer facing. We aren't really making any internal ones right now. We still are, well, we've had ideas on ones, but they've been more advanced than what I could do and really require like a whole team of developers for the way that our HR person was thinking about doing all these sorts of dashboards and things like that with all these different APIs. But yeah, we're also trying to look into kind of like supplementing some stuff that we can't do with BrightGauge right now. So
when your external customer facing stuff is done, do you think your sales team will use it when they're talking to prospects to see what it's like working with your MSP?
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, we actually had discussions. This whole idea of having a customer portal in the first place, which was even before App Platform, I think even came out. I was thinking about building something with HTML and doing all that kind of stuff all manually. And it came up because our account managers were like, well, we have clients who are asking for user lists, and I have to go through, run the PowerShell, export out the CSV, copy it to my computer, and half of the time I forget about it, so they don't get the emails with it. And then there's all this other stuff too, where they want Duo lists because they want to see when was users last logged in to Duo. Because if the users haven't logged in 2 months, maybe they just need to be removed from Duo. So because there's a per user licensing fee for that. Also just checking like network device statuses or putting in procurement tickets. It's just there's just so much stuff as well, like even just user onboarding and offboardings was something. So we've kind of developed the portal with our customers in mind, asking, hey, like these are the things that we are asking for, and our account managers have been really good with me, kind of saying this is what my customers are saying that I need to do. Can you please create something for me. And basically, yeah, I actually originally, it was such a big issue with the user reports. I actually have a form that exports it out as a CSV file. But now with that platform, we're taking it to the next level and allowing users to be able to download it or view the table itself, which is even better than sending them over a CSV file via email. So, yeah, that's kind of my inspiration here.
I have
Thank you.
I have a cat in my lap, so I can't sit up straight. But and you know when you have a cat on you, you can't move, right? That's like the rule. Frank has got my creative juices flowing here. So when I think of client portals today, it's kind of one of the reasons why we didn't call App Platform Client Portal was because to me, the client portal is a very static place. Like if you think on how folks use client portals today, most of the automations are around creating tickets for you. Or listing tickets and ticket statuses. And our vision here is to build more of an app-like experience for your clients when they're interacting with you. And so the app components are the automations that we build or you build within the app platform. Is that an understandable future vision for you folks? Yes. Imagine if you use, because I hear folks say, well, our client portal is getting low adoption. And it doesn't matter who the vendor is of the client portal. And so I start thinking, is it really because MSP customers don't want to use a portal? Or is it because the portal is just providing low value to the customer? And is it because the portal is not giving the client immediate gratification? Imagine if online banking acted like today's client portals. You would log into your online bank. It would give you a list of all your accounts and money in it. But the minute you go to do a transfer or some other activity, it would open a ticket for a teller to go do it. And then you'd need to go wait for it to get done. Or you could call the teller directly and they do it with you on the phone. And so when I think that way, I think the lack of adoption is just that current client portals don't provide the degree of automation and immediate gratification that clients are looking for.
Good take.
Any discussion around that? Am I on base, off base, crazy?
Aaron, there's a lot of validation of what you're saying going on in the chat, and
Okay.
it's, a lot.
Somebody recommended a really good idea about like having a crate made that was like a client portal. Is that Chris? So that you could have like the customizability on the back end, but the front end was already kind of done.
Yeah, we're working on that. So I'm gonna do some of the stressing out components.
Someone mute him.
I said at the very beginning of the call, the team's doing some large engine changes, like moving to RabbitMQ from Kafka and stuff, because we need to get the response times of the engine like super, super fast to support a portal. And so that's one piece that's going on. And then also the app platform developers are working on marketplace integration for app platform. Of course, that will be a like a tiered approach or a staged approach to marketplace. That platform's just not going to show up in the marketplace one day, but you're going to be able to take an entire app, workflows and all, and export them and re-import them, at least by hand. And then once that's complete, you'll start to see things for app platforms show up in the marketplace.
While the chat's going on, unless anybody else wants to, or Frank, did you? Oh, he's dealing with some kids there.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I was trying to have a conversation with kids who were literally screaming. Aaron, I think you and I have had a couple conversations about this. You know how I feel about where I think automation needs to be. Should be client forward. The internal stuff is great and all, but I just don't find a whole lot of value in that over, say, like scripting or something. But the client-facing stuff is definitely something I'm always big on, and integrations to like other middleware type functions I think is huge for me. It makes the integration into other products, especially things like Salesforce, Workday, bunch of SaaS applications that are out there that organizations are needing. And sure, work with the API directly and stuff like that, but there's so many of those things already built that just makes life easier. That's where I was going with like that conversation around the client portal in general, and just kind of like how that needs to be. So
that's fine. I'm just you reminded me of being able to talk about that. Brett, I'm just scrolling through the chats. Brett mentioned something that he would prefer to just build his own web app and use Rewst as the middleware, which is completely doable. I mean, we're a platform. We don't care how you use it.
And Aaron, just to point out, that's what I'm doing, right? And you and I have had conversations around that. So yeah, it definitely is doable.
Awesome.
Cool.
For those that are doing that, just curious why your reasoning. Is it pure UI flexibility, or is it other reasons?
For me, yeah, it is. It's UI flexibility. It's the fact that I already have it in place. So we already have a cross-platform app that our customers use, and so we're kind of just changing the back end from what we were using before to Rewst, and then adding additional functionality that will take better advantage of Rewst. It's a little bit more interactive. We control the authentication within our RMM. So when they go to launch the app, it actually pulls from the RMM to pre-authenticate them. So it just makes it's a little easier for us versus sending them to somewhere where they have to authenticate separately. We can pre-authenticate them. So that's sort of part of it. There's a few other things, but that's really the main part. And I started on it before I knew app platform was coming. So.
And none of this like hurts us, right? Like you get to use the parts that you like, and we're excited to support you however you want to use it. It's kind of like building a workflow. You can build a workflow in Rewst that does the same thing like 50 different ways, and we're cool with it, unless it's like 40 nested with items with 10 concurrency each.
That's good conversation. We're a few minutes in to the end. Brandon, we'll get you next week if you're around. But I think, yeah, that was good. We had everybody else. We hit everybody else. We got a lot of demos done today.
What's the next big show? Is it DataCon? I'm gonna post DatoCon. I just dropped it in the chat. If you're gonna be there, heart it so I can get a count. And if we get enough and not too many, it's a happy medium, right? Like I can't take 100 people out to dinner at once.
Hey, does it matter if I'm not really attending, but I live in town?
You're required to come, Jimberry.
Thank you.
Can I fly out there just to go to dinner and not attend DatoCon?
Yes. And I will also be at IT Nation. It's just it's not the next one. I can't think that far ahead. All right, so I've got 5. But Jamie, are you going to be there?
I sure am.
Wow, awesome. All right. Jamie, can you take note of the 5 names there?
Yep, I'll own it.
Okay. Cool. Hey, thank you, everybody. Thanks for the great discussion and engagement today. Thank you for the folks that demoed. I know there was a few of you that was the first time. It can be stressful and it's a lot of work. So thank you for helping the community and thank you for joining. Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Toodles.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Meow, meow.